Welcome to Meet Me for Coffee. And today, my guest, I would say, is an artist of dreams, or at least he'll assist you in ways to incubate them. Machiel Klerk teaches and travels the grid with a lot of experience in different healing modalities, specializing in dreams along with trauma support, grief, loss, along with adolescents and young adults. He actually works internationally as a dream worker and more than 20 years of experience. So, welcome, Machiel.
Well, thank you, Tonya. It's a pleasure to be with you and to muse along.
I'm so excited that you're here to play with me today. So how did you get interested in dreams?
Well, that was in my early 20s. I had run into an one-way street in my life, and life had become somewhat grim and lack of purpose. And that was deeply rooted in unresolved grief of the death of my father at the age of 10, when I was 10. And because our culture and our family was not good at dealing with grief at the level that would have been helpful for me, it had resulted in a place where I had lost a sense of meaning. And with some fortunate coincidence, I stumbled upon the works of Carl Jung, who is one of the great Western dreamers and dream workers. And he provided some insight tools and techniques on how to understand your dreams and how to see the world in a different way. And so I started paying attention to my dreams, and dreams started flooding in and started giving me a sense of direction, showed me insight about my personality aspects, and also connected me again with my father. And I got a different sense about life and death and the world of the ancestors. So that is where the whole journey started. And since then, I've been deeply connected to dreams, and it has been a journey for the better.
So how have dreams been helpful in your life besides like the loss of like obviously your father, right, at a very young age?
Yeah. Well, dreams still play an role in my life. I write them down every time I have one. I've studied many different traditions, and I think dreams have a multitude of ways that they can be helpful. There's the aspect in which dreams can be a diagnostic tool, just give a good insight of what goes on inside a person. Then there are ways in which you can ask your dream a question in order to get some help along the way. Dreams provide little inclinations of where the soul wants to develop towards. It's almost like little seeds that show potential for the future. And on a practical way, I had a decade ago a dream at night that I took as a suggestion to build a platform for Jung and post-Jungian psychology. And I built the local Jung Society of Utah and then the Jung platform. So a dream has been deeply vocational, and I'm still working on that dream and giving expression to that dream. So dreams can be in help with vocation, with gift and purpose, but also make little course correction on the day-to-day way of being in the world.
So how do dreams help people like day to day? Is this something like you just kind of have to journal your dreams every day, or kind of go to sleep with an idea of what you want to dream into reality in a way?
Well, there are different ways of being with the dream, and what you're alluding to is this technique that's called this dream incubation. It's a very old technique that comes in many places around the world and in a lot of spiritual traditions, in which you ask your dream a question before you go to bed. And in order to elicit a response for maybe you want to find a better relationship or improve your relationship, want to work on your health, want to anything that has to do with your life or your personal development. And so it's a very easy technique in which you just ask the dream a question before you go to bed, and you have the dream, and of course the next day you need to write it down, because dreams are notorious for evaporating in the morning. You wake up, and 1 minute later or 5 minutes later, the dream is gone. So you really have to, when you wake up, tell the dream a couple of times to yourself and then write it down so that you can work with it. So I can today talk more about that technique. But what is also very helpful usually for people is that dreams represent one's own inner life. And I just had this morning, I was working with someone on their dreams, and they did dream that they had the opportunity to go into outer space with a rocket. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity, and this woman thought, "Gosh, it's scary, but let's do this, because it's such a unique experience." And then she started packing, and she had 3 bags, and she couldn't take that all on the rocket, and she was really overpacking, over preparing. And that's where the dream ends. And so that dream in itself portrays. She was very easy to say, "Gosh, that's an anxiety dream. I'm scared and I'm over prepared." So then you have a diagnosis of, hey, this is currently somewhere taking place in your life, and you over prepare, and then usually when an anxiety dream comes, there's either too much or too little anxiety. And in this case, it was easy to see that there was too much anxiety. So what the woman could learn is that the moment that she starts over preparing, she actually her own psyche says it's not necessary. Don't worry this much, and she can learn to start trusting that sense inside herself that tells her it's too much, and do less. And then she can be on an interesting journey to deepen trust with her own self and listen more to her own self, that can accurately help and guide her on her own journey into outer space, into some unique adventure in her life. And so that's a dream that I just happens to remember right now. But it's there where you see that dreams can help on a daily basis, just course correct a little bit, help a person deal with their anxiety. So that's an example of a dream that helps in that way. And there's much more to say, but does it make sense so far?
I think dreaming is pretty fascinating in all dimensions and realms, but you've actually developed a practical way of just asking your dreams for guidance. Can you kind of speak more to that? I know you kind of shared a little bit about this particular client, but we explore that a little deeper maybe?
Yeah. And let me give an example. And I was once in the Netherlands at giving a workshop on dreams, and there was a young woman who afterwards came to me and said, "Gosh, Machiel, I'm trying to get rid of this anxiety. I've tried all kinds of methods, meditation. I do now acupuncture, but nothing really helps. Do you think that I could ask the dream for help and guidance?" And it was, of course you can. The dream is always interested in helping and educating. It's almost like the dream is on standby. It sometimes just needs to be elicited, and so it can step in and fully provides its helpful force towards a person. And the woman said, "I've never paid attention to dreams. You're sure it works?" And I said, "Well, most important thing is try for yourself. This is really about you building a relationship with your own internal self, or the deeper self, or spirit, or whatever you want to call it." And so she asked the dream, "Why am I so anxious?" Then the next morning she wakes up and she has the following dream. And she says, I am at the beach and I look at the beach and the water, and there's a beautiful woman who is bald with all kinds of tattoos. And the woman points towards the sea. And she says, then I look at the sea and I can see the currents, but I can also see the currents in the sea. There are like little lights that show these patterns in the sea. She said and says, I'm intrigued and I walk to the sea and I start swimming. And what I notice is that if I swim with the current, I feel light and buoyant and it's easy. But if I swim against it, I get very quickly exhausted and deeply anxious. The same anxiety that I experience very often in day-to-day life. And that's her dream. And what she then herself comes to the conclusion is, gosh, when I swim against the current of life, I become anxious. And so actually my anxiety is not immediately something to get rid of, but an internal signal to get me back on my path, to get me back on my own journey. So I just need to learn to notice, hey, when do I get anxious? And am I still following my own path, or I'm still connected to my own spirit? And so she started practicing this and reported a couple of months later that her anxiety had significantly decreased, which is, of course, very helpful. And on top of it, there's another element which you also see is that anxiety is not always a disorder that needs to be medicated or numbed. Sometimes anxiety is an internal order signal system of the psyche. It's telling you, hey, you're moving in the wrong direction. Get back on your path. And so this is an example of a person who decided to ask this question to the dreams. And it really comes back in almost any culture, whether it is the African shamans, or in the Islam, there's the Ishtakhara, or in the East and the Eastern traditions, or a lot of folk tales. And actually, I met a lot of people throughout the years that have stumbled upon this technique just by themselves. And I studied all those techniques, practiced on people, and distilled a 5-step process that people just can implement for themselves. So I can say more about that as well. Just checking in with you.
So, okay, for sure I want you to step into the process. But I also know you're doing a free dream summit. Is this something that you do all year long, or is it just certain times of the year? What does that look like?
Yeah, so the Dream Summit is January 14th till 17th. It's for free. It's on the Jung platform, Jung platform.com. And what we did is we gathered 12 great speakers on dreams, providing different insights and tools and perspectives on how dreams can help you with your personal journey. With a Native American and a Tibetan dream worker, a Jungian dream work, of course, and body dream work, all kinds of different styles of being with dreams that can help a person live a more fun, meaningful, rich life. And people can roll in for free on jungplatform.com. It's in several. It's on January 14 till 17. It's a great way to make 2021 a dream year, and can highly recommend it. We've gathered some of the world's most interesting dreamers.
So can you elaborate on that a little bit? Who are some of the people that are part of this Dream Summit? It's pretty curious kind of thing. And I'm guessing that you kind of have to follow the person that you resonate with more. Because of the modality of dreaming for everybody is like a different perception or a cycle or something to that degree.
Well, what we made sure to do is that you don't need to read or be an expert on dreams to follow the summit. All the speakers will provide perspectives and tools that you can implement without having to go through a really in-depth way of being with dreams. Of course, the most common way that people think of with dreams is dream interpretation, thinking about the dream, what does it mean? Yet there are many other ways of being with a dream. You can sense into the different energies or states or characters in the dream, by which you get the perspective of these others. There are ways that you can build relationship with dream characters. Maybe there's an animal in your dream that could become a friend, or there is some ancestor visiting you, or some helpful character. Well, there's techniques on how to befriend these characters and even bring them into this reality, so you can live an easier life. And we also work with, for example, Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche. He's a Tibetan master in dreams. And in their tradition, it's really, dreams are really used as a way to explore the nature of reality. So there you start looking at how is the dream co-created through your expectations and your intent and your belief system. And by understanding how dream reality is created, you get insights into how this reality is created and how you can align yourself with the way reality comes into being in order to minimize suffering and increase happiness. So he's a very, very fascinating dream worker. But we have also Robert Moss. He's a shaman. He's originally from Australia, or lived in Australia for a while. And he has a deep shamanic approach towards dreams. We have Tina Stromstad, who's a Jungian analyst and also an embodiment worker, in which you learn how to dance the different dream characters and get in touch with either an helpful animal or the scary monster or some state in the dream that is a representation or a manifestation of a state of consciousness. And by accessing different states of consciousness, you broaden your own state of consciousness, and you get a broader perspective on reality, and you can shift between different states of consciousness, which makes a person more elastic. And we need elasticity in these times, because we live in very turbulent times, and the more you can dance and adapt to your environment, the better off you will be. So those are some of the dream workers that we will have. I said a Native American woman, Leslie Gray. We do an one on dream work for clinicians. We have a general introduction to Jungian dream work with John van Eenwijk. And the good news is it's all for free. So enroll, send it to friends, anyone that you think would be interested in it. And our approach towards this summit is really a psychological, spiritual approach. So we don't do the neuroscience of dreams. We really look at how can dreams help a person with their journey through life. And every teacher will talk about perspectives that you can look at a dream, that you can immediately implement in your own life, and give a tool that in which you can relate to characters, embody characters, dance characters, or ask your dream questions that can help you on the territory of this current day life.
So, I mean, dreams are actually fascinating. Mine tend to be prophetic. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of have to kind of keep them to my own soul space for a little bit. But can you share or maybe give some insight on one question that somebody or a listener could actually ask during the evening, like a prelude?
Yeah. So what people can ask anything they want, and what research really has shown, it is both my own research. I've worked with the technique for 10 years. did a study with 120 people, in which I gave them questions, in which I had helped to develop their own questions. And what you will see is that any question that is relevant to your life will be answered by the dream. Whether it's an emotional question, or how can I be more successful in my business, or find a partner, or eat more healthy, or love myself more deeply, or what is the issue with this friend, or anything that is really a soul question that is important to you, that you think about throughout the day. That would be a great question. And I want to say there, usually what you want to do is ask one question at a time. So be careful not to ask, how can I earn more money and lose weight? Because that then it becomes a very convoluted answer, and it's hard to distinguish what the dream is answering. Is it answering the first or the second question? So ask one question at a time. With that said, people can ask anything that's relevant to their life. And Deidre Barrett at Harvard did a study, and what she in this method, and what she noticed is that the students that ask questions that had to do with emotionally relevant topics or medical issues would get a high degree of a likelihood of an answer. And where people would ask two non-personal questions, for example, what did my neighbor eat for dinner last night? The dream would not be really interested in providing that answer. So relevant questions, and a question that people can try tonight is, for example, how do I love myself more deeply? It's an easy question. The dream appears to be, if you have genuine interest in knowing the answer, the dream is excited that you ask it. It will give you a way of how you can love yourself more deeply. So just ask it, and how you best ask it is write it down. It's almost like there's a bit of an intention or ritual that communicates to the dream that you're interested in the question if you write it down. And maybe you create something around it as a little ritual, or you talk to the dream and say, gosh, dream, I really would like to know how I could love myself more deeply, and not only so that I can live a good life, but that I can be a more loving person to other people in my life. And please give me insight in the way I could do this. Write it down, maybe put it under your pillow, or you put it on your nightstand, or you put it at your special altar with whatever you have there. And then in bed, meditate on it a little bit, let it be there, because somehow the state that you're in just before you fall asleep appears to translate further into the night. And then have the dream, write it down. And sometimes it's very clear, and other times you just want to puzzle a little bit on the answer. You want to read the dream answer against the question. And that, with that said, is if your question is how can I be more loving to myself, or what's one thing I can do to love myself more deeply, that you just look at what is the experience in the dream, what is the pattern, and then you maybe just mimic the pattern as a way to love yourself more deeply.
So, so there's also, because there's different kinds of dreams. Like I'm thinking, I was sitting here, like how some people can kind of stalk your dreams. Is that really a thing, or vision your dreams? How do you, what's your call on that theory?
You mean stalk? They can enter into your dream?
Yes.
Yeah, it is possible to visit other people in their dream, and the underlying idea is probably that there is an underlying field in which dream is just an other reality where you can meet people, and so you probably can if you can there's especially in lucid dreams in which you know that you are dreaming. People have done experiments on visiting a friend or a loved one, give them a signal that would indicate that they were in the dream, and then the person need the next day to say what kind of signal they got. If they saw the person and what they got as the signal. And it appears that you can visit other people in the dream. I think that in general, if you do that, you should be having a good reason to do that. Otherwise, just stay focused on your own path or your own karma or your own journey. And in general, I don't think one has to be afraid for being stalked in the dream. But if a person is afraid, you can just do a little ritual before you go to bed and say, I only allow or only people that have a positive intent towards me are allowed to enter my dream space. And otherwise, they're not welcome. And then your own self and your own spirit guides know that intent, and they can act on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just curious about that. I don't know why that just, I was kind of thinking of like remote viewing in a way, plus the dreaming. So it was kind of a combination. Is there anything else you want to share with my audience about dream work and what this looks like? I'm going to share all your information in the show notes, how to connect with you along with the free summit and your own website. I think dream incubation is a fascinating topic anyway. So I'd love to send more people your way for some insight.
Well, thank you for doing that and the question. I think that dreams are almost like psychological X-rays. They allow us to really see quickly the issue that is at hand. And if one does therapy, the talk therapy doesn't bring a person as quickly to the depths of one's own being with a display of the dynamic that is going on, as dreams can do. So dreams can speed up either the therapeutic process or one's own journey through life, because it just accurately displays what goes on. And especially in one's own self-analysis, it's very hard to look into one's own blind spots or around the corners. And dreams can do that for us. Dreams are also oriented towards the realization of one's own being. So dreams portray the future of one's own being and the direction one's own soul wants to grow in. So if a person gets stuck in life, to check into their own dream life will give little clues on the direction the soul wants to grow. And if one aligns oneself with that, life becomes just so much easier. You get back in a flow state. So those are two really big helps of why dreams can be so successful for personal development. Whether a person wants to work on a dream just once or twice, or wants to use it as a way to deepen the relationship to oneself. So dream work is not only for the ill, but also for anyone interested in the creative journey through life. And as you already noticed, there's so many ways that dreams can manifest. In your case, dreams are prophetic, or often prophetic, in which they display what might be on the schedule in the future. Other people meet ancestors and the deceased in a dream, and those are many people report this, and those are usually dreams that have a deep and lasting impact on a person's life. It can show insight about death itself and what might be happening, and what the characters in the other world think about death and living, and how to live actually more deeply and fully in this life. So dreams are a very broad resource or a vehicle into another world where we live broader than into the small reality of this dense reality. And sometimes people think that dreams are just on-off phenomenon at night, but dreams are far more an coexisting energy field or reality, or like Jung calls it, a collective unconscious that coexists with this reality and is interconnected. So the dream characters at night sometimes still live with you in the day-to-day world, and you can continue to be connected to this dream leopard or lion or whatever was there as and bring it in as a companion on your road. So dreams are one of the ways that people can access other worlds and different states of consciousness. Of course, it's easy. We sleep anyway, so a little additional effort to just pay attention to your dreams, and life might open up in a more rich way. So those are some thoughts on dreams. I had probably some more, but I don't know. Ask me a question or.
I mean, I think it's fascinating, the whole dream thing. And I've done lucid dreaming. I've had waking dreams that have happened, like messages
Mm-hmm.
that come through while I'm driving or something. And then it kind of plays out. So I get like, I call it getting the memo or getting the hit. So, yeah, so I believe, yeah, dreams are totally fascinating. But yeah, they're both like sleeping and waking dreams. We get stuck in what a vision looks like, which to me, dreams are visions and visions are dreams. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of both time, space, and dimensions. But like you said, it can be otherworldly, can also be our ancestors. It could probably be a totally galactic kind of transmission too, if you'd like, kind of from our higher self or another being of our own self in another timeline, maybe what
Yeah.
we did or didn't do karmically. So, for those of you interested, if you want to check into doing some dream work, I'll have Machiel's information in the show notes. And thanks for tuning in. Please like, share, and comment. And let me know how you like your own inner dream incubation. Okay.